Back again. Today we're talking about another one of my favorite New England Patriots 2024 NFL draft targets. We are looking at Wisconsin's Braelon Allen, who is one of college football's premier running backs that has been marked by a distinctive combination of elite physical attributes and aggressive running style. Standing at an imposing 6'2" and weighing 245 pounds, Allen's frame alone sets him apart, making him a formidable presence in the backfield and a reliable ball carrier in short yardage situations. Yet, he is more than capable of breaking for a big gain if he isn't stopped in the box. Over the past few seasons, Allen's on-field production has been nothing short of stellar. As a goal line powerhouse, he has consistently displayed exceptional play strength and contact balance, plowing through defensive fronts with ease. This guy is built like a Mack truck that allows him to absorb blows and bounce off solo hits, making him a challenging target for would-be tacklers. In the passing phase, Allen's size and play strength shine through in pass blocking situations. The numbers are telling a compelling story. In 2021, Allen amassed 1,268 yards rushing, 12 touchdowns on 186 carries, averaging almost 7 yards per attempt. In 2022, 230 carries, 1,242 yards, 11 TDs. This season, 181 carries, 984 yards, 12 TDs. In addition, he had 28 receptions for 131 yards, cementing his status as a dominant force on the Big Ten stage. Yes, those numbers are impressive, but Braelon's physical metrics are mind-blowing. He is power cleaned 406 pounds and bench 365. In terms of speed, he's clocked a 1.49 10-yard split with a 4.440. Yes, 245 pounds, 4.440. On the downside, Braelon is not the most dynamic athlete. His hip stiffness raises concerns about his lateral movement and cutting angles. While he may excel in goal line situations, questions linger about his adaptability in more dynamic and open field scenarios. He has a reliance on physicality rather than quick dynamic movements. In addition, some have concerns about his receiving instincts and route running, hinting at limitations in his versatility as an all-encompassing running back in the NFL. In terms of fumbles, they're not bad, but they're also not perfect. I did watch some of his training, and his stiffness and balance concerns do show up. I can see he has incredible power in the primary planes. However, his subsystems definitely need work. As a result, balance seems to be an issue. He just produces the power, but not all of it's going to make it into the ground, as the CNS struggles to control his joints. He definitely needs to work on corrective exercises to improve his neuromuscular efficiency, thus improve balance and joint stability. If successful with this, he should be able to unlock some agility and burst and body control at the NFL level. Now, let's talk about why the Patriots actually want him. First, we don't know if Zeke will be here next year, and we also don't know who would be that third running back, which we do need because, let's face it, Ramondre got beat up over the last couple years. We don't know how Zeke's going to do. We need the bodies at that position. Second, Braelon is a physical beast. No one matches his power output. His size and speed combo is unmatched. The last guy to match this would probably be Derrick Henry. I understand a lot of you are going to be screaming about drafting a running back and we need to go out and get receivers. Well, one, we have a lot of receivers. And we are really only possibly losing Borden to free agency. As much as you would love for this to happen, we're probably not losing Parker and Juju via trade or simply releasing. It's just not going to happen. I would like to grab a couple receivers in the draft, that's true. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be targeting a running back considering we might be losing Zeke and it looks like Ty Montgomery appears to be out of the loop. And for those of you who believe that running the ball is dead, let's just talk about some stats and correlations here. First, your top 10 offenses, right? That's going to be Miami, Detroit, San Francisco, Buffalo, Dallas, Houston, Baltimore, Kansas City, Philly, and Minnesota. Now, when you look at them in terms of passing versus receiving, Miami, yes, number one. They're in terms of yardage, they're number one, and they're number one in passing yards. But they're also second in rushing. Detroit is fourth in passing, fourth in rushing. San Francisco, 7th, and then 5th. Buffalo's 5th and 10th. Dallas is 3rd and 11th. Texans are 2nd and 24th. Baltimore's 20 and 1st. Kansas City's 8 and 16. Philly's 13 and 8. And Minnesota's 6 and 28. Now, in terms of yardage, Your top 10 offenses on average are ranked around 7th in terms of passing. In terms of rushing, they're 10th. So in terms of yards, definitely favors passing. Now in terms of scoring, Dallas being the top scoring offense, and there's Miami, there's San Francisco, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Detroit, Baltimore, Indianapolis, the Jags, and Texans. Now when you look at that, scoring-wise, is 9 apiece. So it's basically balanced. Your best scoring offenses both run the ball and pass the ball. Now let's talk about record, right? Power rankings, basically, right? 49ers being the top, Baltimore, Dallas, Eagles, Miami, Lions, Browns, Chiefs, Jags, and Cincinnati. If you break that down, your top 10 teams are 9th in rushing, and they're 11th in passing. So that points to, if you're winning, you're rushing the ball. And that's been true for several years. But also, some interesting data to go over is teams with the most improved rushing. Number 1's Miami. Number 2, Detroit, Houston, and then the 49ers. Even though the 49ers were good last year, they're even better this year in terms of rushing thus far this season. Now, the only teams that have kind of shown some sort of improvement, or at least are just solid teams that have seen a decrease in their rushing, I can only find is basically the Jags and Seattle. The only teams that have basically taken a step back in terms of their rushing and have not lost too much in terms of their record. Now, teams that have seen a decrease in their rushing production, they're having worse years. Buffalo, the Giants, who have lost like around 30 to 40 yards per game, the Vikings, Cincinnati, Carolina, who's doing terrible this season, they've lost 30. The Patriots, who are doing bad, they've lost 20 per game on average. And Vegas has lost 40 on average per game. Think about that. So some of the teams that have improved the most this year have improved the most in terms of rushing. And some of the teams that have been disappointing or have had the worst records have lost yardage in terms of rushing. Now, of course, there's a lot of factors involved there, but it does show you that rushing the ball is important. Still not convinced? Let's talk about rushing first downs. Okay, the teams that have the most rushing first downs: Baltimore, Buffalo, 49ers, Philly, Chicago, Cleveland, Atlanta. There's a tie between Detroit and Miami, the Chiefs and Dallas, okay? In terms of power rankings, on average, it's 8.36. So your top 10 teams rush the ball for first downs. Now, rushing touchdowns. Your top teams: Miami, Baltimore, 49ers, Detroit, Philly, Colts, Buffalo, Jacksonville, Arizona, and Dallas. Those are your top 10 teams with rushing touchdowns. In terms of their power rankings, 8.6. Now, your best teams with third down conversions are Dallas, Buffalo, Philly, Detroit, Chicago, Kansas City, and Green Bay. Think about that. Most of those teams there are all your top rushing teams as well. So let's talk about fourth quarter offensive production. Your top 10 teams for fourth quarter offenses are Dallas, Denver, Buffalo, Atlanta, San Francisco, Detroit, Miami, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, and Houston. Funny enough, those same exact teams are also your top 10 teams in fourth quarter rushing. Okay? So the stats show that you still need to rush the ball, and it's important to rush the ball on third down and in the fourth quarter. And just overall, it's good to have a balanced attack. Your winning teams have a strong correlation to rushing the ball. Now, some of you are going to say, well, that's not entirely dependent on the running back. That's true. But if we wanted to say, like, who are your top running backs in the NFL, it'd be like McCaffrey, Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Chubb before his knee, Taylor, Barkley, Pollard, Ramondre would be in there, Bijan, even though it's his rookie season, and Travis Etienne now that he's healthy. Some of those guys, I'm saying that because when you watch them play, you can see that they have an influence on their production. Like, they are making moves. They are breaking tackles. It's not just simply opportunities in wide open lanes. That does have an impact. Obviously, offensive line play has a massive influence on your running back. However, let's talk about that for a minute. Your top running back this season is Christian McCaffrey. He's first in terms of rushing yards and just an offensive weapon. But if you look at the stats for their offensive line, they're like 16th or 17th in terms of offensive line play. Now, Jacobs, who's 6th overall in terms of rushing, his offensive line is 19th. Derrick Henry has the worst offensive line, and he's still 3rd in terms of rushing. Taylor, I mean, he's only played 7 games, but they have an okay offensive line. Now, Barkley, one of the worst offensive lines in the league, yet he's 11th in terms of rushing with only 10 games. Pollard, they have a good offensive line, top 10. He's 8th, okay. Ramondre, not doing so well this year, but he's sharing a lot of reps with Zeke. Offensive line play, bottom half. Bijan has a good offensive line. He's top 10 in terms of rushing. But Travis Etienne, he's got one of the worst offensive lines. They're 26th, and he's 5th overall. See what I'm saying there? So it's not always dependent on offensive line play. There are running backs are able to carry the ball and produce despite having bad offensive lines. Well, so what's my overall point? Well, the stats show that your best offenses, although do pass the ball, still rush the ball for yardage and scoring. Your best teams have the best rushing offenses. Your best third down conversions come from teams that rush the ball well and rely on rushing the ball on 3rd and short. Your best teams rush the ball in the 4th quarter, and they score in the 4th quarter with a balanced attack. You still need to rush the ball to win. Yes, to move the ball, you need to pass, but not every yard is the same and not every down is the same. The best teams are really good at running the ball on 3rd and short, and they're also really good at rushing the ball into the end zone. And the most skilled running backs are typically leaders in rushing, with some of them rushing behind bottom half offensive lines. In fact, your best running backs are also some of your best pass blocking running backs as well. McCaffrey, Pollard, Bijan, Ramondre, Barkley. And, some of your best offenses, like Philly, Swift is one of the best pass blockers. Considering the running back stays in the pass block more than a quarter of his snaps, you can pile that onto your bull thesis here for running backs. Your best passing offenses typically have a good pass pro running back. So yes, you should be looking for solid running backs if you want your offense to be good and to win. The running back is involved in every snap in some way, rushing, receiving, blocking, and they can't take one of those snaps off like receivers tend to do. The running back is still a key player in the offense. Another point to consider is having Braelon on the team would also save Ramondre and Zeke to be used on passing situations and share the load. And also, just because Braelon is in the game doesn't mean it's going to be a run. He's a solid pass blocker and could provide reliable protection on early passing downs. Also, we could see some pony personnel again with Braelon out there. In addition, it would be interesting if Allen could take on some fullback responsibilities. Now, the big question is always, when would the Patriots draft him? If Allen comes out for the draft, if he comes out, I think he would be a solid day 3 prospect. Despite his imposing size, stats, and impressive metrics, I don't think we will see his collegiate production instantly transfer to the NFL. Now, as a floor, I think Allen will certainly carve out as a niche rotational back, particularly in short yardage and goal line situations. But also, I don't see his ceiling being as high because it'll be hard for him to be a 2-phase NFL starter right off the bat. That being said, I think his pass catching ability is better than advertised, and he certainly has the prospects to become a better receiver in the coming years. The big allure here is that he's a very talented running back who is still young and has the potential to be a solid pass protector as well. So I have to suspect he's higher on a lot of GM's big boards than what is being projected by journalists. Once he tests out at the combine, his media draft stock is going to rocket. Now, that being said, I still think the Patriots are going to have to target him on day 3 just because of the priority list that we already have. But I do suspect Braelon will be one of those 30 workouts this year for the Patriots because they have to know if this guy is a legit premier 2-phase back or just simply niche. And if he is a niche, how good of a niche is he? Because a superior niche player is really a specialist, which can be maximized in terms of performance or deception by the right offensive coordinator. The Patriots know how to use their running backs, that's true. So I wouldn't be surprised if they target him on day 2, especially if we lose Zeke in free agency. First things first, we gotta see if he's actually coming out this year for the draft, but if he is, keep an eye on him. It will be entertaining to see him in some of these all-star games as well at the combine. Anyway, what do you guys think of Braelon Allen? Do you think the Patriots should target him? If so, when should they target him? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.